All right, so we're going to be doing this a little differently because sessions no longer have the same weather across the whole week. Lap times for these type of guys don't really matter. So I'm just going to show you a typical type of lap for whatever session I'm on the test session, and then you can kind of extrapolate that and use it for yourself. So we're going to try first lap here, get all the way up to the wall, point off the wall, full throttle all the way down. Should be very stable. We're going to try to arc it a little bit here, but mostly under braking, we still want to get all the way to the bottom. So I got all the way to the bottom, try to get all that angle off of the apex, and you can see the better exit angle you have, the more speed you can carry. Going to brake early again, get all the way down to the yellow, really park it on this yellow, and then just drive it straight up into the wall like it's like an extended part of the straightaway. So that's a pretty decent lap, all things considered. Let's see if we can do better on the second. I know we're at a bit of a disadvantage. We can see the later I apex, look at that run I'm able to get off, but I'm not able to get full throttle early enough, so it doesn't really pay off. Then 3 and 4 getting all the way down to the yellow. This is a lot better than the first attempt on the yellow. Can get up back on the throttle a little bit earlier. Oh, it's still kind of spun out though. So with that being said, let's go take a look at that first lap, because that first lap looked like it was the lap. So I want to point out a couple more things where I don't have to live commentate it. So turn 1 here, you really don't want to apex too early, but if you don't get your nose pointed to the yellow before the turn begins, you're just never going to make the bottom. So it's like finding this happy medium between getting to the bottom but not getting to the bottom too early. Because if you get to the bottom too early, like let's say that you're all the way down to the yellow now and you're starting to slide up already, you're going to have to wait so long to get full throttle on exit just because of the angle. So you see how I add extra wheel input to the as I get to the bottom. Now usually I say don't do this because of tire wear, but we don't care about tire wear, it's qualifying. I'm doing this because I really want to get as much exit angle as possible. Apex as late as I possibly can while still getting all the way to the yellow line, because look at this allows me a straight shot out of here, as opposed to if you apex too early, you're going to have to wait so long to get back to the throttle. So I'm able to full throttle straight shot this, and that's the whole point of this line in turn 1. So it's all about a late apex, but just keep in mind that if you are not turning down by the time the corner starts, you're not going to even be able to get to the yellow, so the late apex becomes a moot point. All right, all the way back up. Cool. 3 and 4. A little more straightforward. It's easier just to get down to the yellow early and stay there compared to 1 and 2. So I just trail brake to the yellow. Once it sticks to the yellow, I use a little bit of wheel to keep it there. Then I transfer it to half 60% throttle. And then once it gets to the Geico restart zone just about, I'm able to full throttle and just track it up to the wall. And it'll pretty much stay where it needs to stay. It's really a simple corner compared to 1 and 2. We'll go over it. So brake to slow. So in Richmond, you want to start out with like a 30 to 40% brake before you enter the corner. And then as you enter the corner, you bring it down to a 15 to 20%, maybe a 10%. And then once the car sticks to the yellow, 60% throttle. Hold that until about the Geico restart zone, but more like when you can straight shot the exit. Usually with this angle, it'll be here. If for some reason you're late apexing this corner, it'll happen earlier, but you probably lost a lot of time on entry anyways. You don't really want to slide your tires off of here, but it does not matter too much for a qualifying lap. Don't do that in the race though. Speaking of the race, let's do a bit of a run here. So I'm going to keep an eye on my brake bias because I might need to raise it as the run goes on. But early braking at Richmond is your best friend. You might get, some people are afraid of getting run over, but I think it's a good trade-off most of the time. I mean, you know who you're racing around most of the time, but if you're braking too late every single time because you're scared of everybody, that's just making you a worse driver because you're scared of them. So it's not really worth it. You'd rather do the right things and get punished every so often because of an idiot than do the wrong thing every single time because you're so scared of that idiot. Now, at certain levels, it makes more sense than others, but that's just my general recommendation. So Richmond, it's really hard to do that late apex line and save tires. So I more or less get to the bottom as early as I can, just like in 3, and just kind of keep the car in the line. This yellow line is going to be your friend in this race. Now, Xfinity car on a smaller track, I sound like a broken record probably, but you do not want your right rear to slide under any circumstances. So you really don't want to force that full throttle until your wheel is completely straight. It's going to be so tempting for you to want to gas your car off a 2 a lot earlier, and even off a 4 a lot earlier, but just be smooth on your throttle. It's not worth that much time in the long run, and if you slip your wheel once, it's just going to be a tire imbalance for the rest of the race. It's so easy to want to full throttle early there, but you just can't. And I will show, I missed that a little bit. When you miss it, you just kind of pick a new line. You eat the 10th that you lost and whatever. Now you can go for that more of a late apex line. This will help your runoff. But you can see it doesn't, I mean, it is faster, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's easier to miss, and the reward for it is not a lot in my opinion. Now, if you're really good at this track and you're going to execute every time, yeah, late apex, super cool. But I don't think for the majority of people, late apex line is that viable. It might be if you just use more brake. I would at least experiment. See how much time I gained there because I didn't screw up. But notice you haven't heard my rear tire like once this entire run, and that is very much on purpose. This car needs its rear tire on this track like no other. You cannot abuse your rear tire on this because, I mean, feel the car. I mean, it just feels like it's hanging out the entire time. So the moment that you start hanging out your right rear tire, heating it up, sliding it, you're going to have nothing to lean on for like the majority of the run. So how do you slide your rear tire? Because I'm making it look like it's not very easy to slide your rear tire. Oops. Ow. That's what I get for getting cocky. So like if I overdrive this corner and coming off the corner, I throttle up too early, I hang the rear out. Or for instance right here, let's say I'm too heavy on the brake. Hurt that tire a lot more. Gained a lot of corner and center speed, but I'm not really able to get off of it too well. Just that early braking, especially if you're not under immense pressure. Just be disciplined enough for the early braking, and the rest of the corner will run a lot better for you. I was a little too early on the throttle. See how tight I'm getting off the corner? I needed to have my trail brake wrap more of the corner than it did. I kind of anticipated it, and it ended up not weight transferring like I wanted it to. So the car is getting a little bit tight right now. When that happens, you just want to rely more on your brake than your throttle. Oops. Yeah, that is kind of... That's pretty much what's going on. So whenever you feel like you're about to hit the wall and you get tight because of it, more trail brake, longer duration. Don't raise the amount of brake that you use, just lengthen the duration. So yeah, so I am wearing the right front more than the right rear. I think it depends on the track. This track got really cool all of a sudden. So at that point, yeah, maybe the right front is the one it's going to want to lean on. But the hotter the track gets, the more this right rear just gets on fire. So figure out what temperature the track is by driving. If you're getting tight, use more trail brake. If you're getting loose, really be careful about your 100% throttle inputs and maybe raise your brake bias. But other than that, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you all on the track.